The Galactic Council chambers had never known such silence. For 3 standard cycles, the vast amphitheater remained empty, its crystalline walls echoing only with the nervous shuffling of non-human delegates. The human seats, once occupied by vibrant, argumentative representatives, stood vacant. Commander Emma Chen of the Terran Diplomatic Corps had warned them. She had stood at that very podium 6 months prior, her voice steady but cold. "The Council has made its position clear," she had said, her dark eyes scanning the hundreds of alien faces that refused to meet her gaze.
Humanity's contributions are deemed excessive and destabilizing. Our technological innovations are dangerous. Our cultural exchanges are corrupting. Very well. We understand perfectly. The Valorian ambassador, his crystalline form shimmering,
with what his species called satisfaction, had clicked his mandibles in approval. Finally, the humans show wisdom. Perhaps isolation will teach them humility. Emma had smiled then, a thin, knowing smile that should have warned them all. "We'll see who learns what, Ambassador." Within 48 hours, every human in Council space had vanished. Elijah Torres, chief engineer of Waystation Sigma-7, had been among the last to leave. He stood in the station's central hub, running his calloused hands over the quantum relay he'd spent 3 years perfecting. Around him, his team efficiently packed equipment, their movements practiced and purposeful. "They'll figure it out eventually," said his assistant, a young woman from New Mumbai, doubt creeping into her voice. Elijah shook his head, disconnecting the final power coupling. "No, they won't. They think technology is just stuff, hardware, code. They don't understand that innovation is about how you think, not just what you build." He hefted his toolkit onto his shoulder. "Come on. The last transport leaves in 20 minutes. As their ship broke orbit, Elijah watched Sigma-7's lights flicker and dim. The station's autonomous systems would keep basic functions running for a while, but without human maintenance, without human ingenuity constantly solving the 1,000 small problems that arose daily, it would slowly die. Just like everything else the humans had touched in Council space. The first cracks appeared within weeks. The medical stations began reporting critical failures. The Thraxian delegates, whose immune systems had been stabilized by human-developed retroviral treatments, found themselves facing a resurgence of genetic disorders. Dr. Emma Chen's research team had been on the verge of a permanent cure, but they were gone now, and the alien medical staff couldn't decipher their notes. Human medical notation, it turned out, was built on intuitive leaps and creative problem-solving that didn't translate well to species that thought in rigid hierarchical patterns. "Can't you just continue their work?" The Thraxian senator pleaded with the station's head physician, a highly credentialed Velcorn. The physician's tentacles drooped in a gesture of helplessness. "I don't understand their methodology. They approach problems from angles that seem illogical, yet somehow arrive at solutions. It's as if they see connections we cannot perceive." The agricultural colonies failed next. Human agronomists had spent decades adapting Earth crops to alien soil, creating hybrid plants that fed billions. But the plants required constant adjustment, genetic tweaking to respond to evolving conditions. The Zenth farmers, meticulous and careful, followed the protocols exactly as written. Yet the crops withered. The protocols, they discovered too late, were guidelines, not gospel. Humans had never followed them precisely. They'd adapted, improvised, felt their way through problems with instinct and experience. They made it look easy, a Zenth colony administrator reported to the Council. "We thought we understood. We were wrong." In the Council chambers, now hastily reconvened, panic replaced arrogance. The humans sabotaged everything before leaving. The Valorian ambassador accused, his crystalline form flickering with agitation. "No," countered the Keltheran observer, one of the few who had opposed humanity's isolation. "That's not what happened. We sabotaged ourselves." She pulled up holographic displays showing system after system in decline. "Look at the data. Nothing was tampered with. Everything is failing because we don't know how to maintain it. The humans didn't just build things for us. They taught us to rely on them while never truly teaching us how they did what they did." That's not true, another delegate protested. They shared their technology freely. They shared their tools, the Keltheran corrected. But we never learned to think like them. We never understood that their greatest gift wasn't their technology, it was their approach, their creativity, their refusal to accept that problems were unsolvable. Back on Earth, in a conference room in Geneva, Emma Chen sat with humanity's leadership, watching the reports stream in from council space, colony after colony in crisis, trade routes collapsing, medical emergencies multiplying. The Great Galactic Council, spanning 200 species and 1,000 worlds, was coming apart at the seams. "They're requesting our return," said the Secretary General, reading the latest transmission. "They're begging." Emma's expression remained neutral. "What are the terms?" "Full apology, reinstatement of all previous privileges, triple representation on the Council, technology sharing agreements that favor human terms." "Not enough," Emma said quietly. The room went silent. Everyone turned to look at her. "Not enough," the Secretary General repeated. Emma stood, walking to the window that overlooked Lake Geneva. "For 2 centuries, we've been the Council's handymen, the species they called when something broke, when a problem seemed impossible, when they needed someone to think outside their rigid little boxes. We were useful, but we were never respected." She turned back to face the room. "They need to understand that humanity isn't just another service provider. We're partners, or we're nothing." Elijah Torres, participating via hologram from Mars, nodded his agreement. "She's right. If we go back now, everything returns to how it was. They'll use us, patronize us, and the moment they think they don't need us anymore, they'll cast us aside again." "So what do you propose?" asked the Secretary General. Emma smiled, that same thin smile she'd worn 6 months ago. "We wait. We let them struggle a bit longer. Let them truly understand what they lost. And when they're ready to offer real partnership, genuine respect, equal standing in every sense of the word, then we'll talk." 3 months later, the Galactic Council transmitted a new proposal. Not terms of return, but an invitation to redesign the entire council structure. Humanity wouldn't join the council. They would help rebuild it from the ground up, as equals, as architects of a new order. In the transmission, the Keltheran observer's voice carried a note of hard-won wisdom. "We thought we were advanced civilizations. We thought we understood progress. The humans taught us that intelligence without creativity is merely computation, that following rules without understanding principles is just ritualized helplessness. We don't want you to return as our engineers. We want you to return as our teachers." Emma read the message 3 times before calling the vote. This time, when humans entered council space, they came not as supplicants, but as partners. And the galaxy began, slowly, to learn what it truly meant to think like a human. The seats in the council chambers filled once more, but the arrangement had changed. Human delegates now sat at the center, where decisions were made, where the future was shaped. Silently, the humans had left. Loudly, their absence had spoken. And the council had finally learned to listen.